Mills, and I'm running for State Assembly District 42 against Jackie Irwin. Now, for those that don't know about me, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Santa Monica. I'm a wife to an immigrant, a legal immigrant. I'm a mother, and I'm a grandmother. And one thing that Tony was talking about is something that concerns me. My children are growing up less free than I am. My grandson is growing up less free than his mother. This is not right. We are the highest tax state in the country, and it's time to cut the cost of living for our families. And this legislation that has gone through lately, we need to repeal it. And the only way that we can do that is to take back these House seats. Now, what got me into this started probably October 2020, after watching Russiagate and everything that went on. I was a little bit of a digital soldier, and I posted about Hunter Biden's laptop. They suspended me from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, same time, same day, but then they made another mistake, and they took my business pages. Now, I was the equestrian estate director for Berkshire Hathaway for the last since Berkshire Hathaway's inception, from Prudential California Realty before then. So suddenly, they kind of lit a fire in me because I felt I was censored, canceled, but what it did is it got me off the internet and on the ground. So what I did after that, COVID hit, and I caught a segment of my son's English class. And the teacher was having my son read congressional testimony by Democrats calling Republicans racist. This is at Royal High School. And I said, what the heck is going on here? So in a weird way, COVID was a blessing because we got to see what they were teaching our children. After that, school opened back up again, and I volunteered at the Royal High School Library. I walked in and it looked like a left-wing activist center. Books like Defund the Police, Black Lives Matter, a grassroots movement, Transgender in America. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I decided I'm gonna become vice president of the California Republican Assembly in Simi Valley and Moore Park, and I'm gonna start a parents group. So what we did then is we got together and developed a team that went to the school board meetings. I met with the principal, who was actually a really nice guy. He was actually concerned that his son was being taught critical race theory in college, yet he didn't have the guts to stand up to his own school. I went to the school board, I complained, and I got the Royal High School Library balanced. Took me 3 months, but it's balanced now. My concern is how many other schools. I then had my son come home and I said, what are they teaching you? I found out they taught him about sex toys in 9th grade. They're grooming our children who should be taught how to think, not what to think. And another thing that was concerning to me, once they did the redistricting, I read Jackie Irwin's voting record. And I was like, because I heard from many people she's a moderate. She's not a moderate.
Right.
She voted to lower penalties for adults to have sexual relations with children as young as 14. That is not okay. Now, another thing, I support law and order and equal justice under the law. I believe we need to untie law enforcement's hands to let them do their jobs to keep our neighborhoods safe. We need to let our officers and courts work with ICE once again so criminal aliens don't viciously prey on our communities and law-abiding migrants. A man in Thousand Oaks told me his story recently. What happened was he lives in Lane Ranch. Guy went nuts, jumped a couple fences, broke into a house, shot it up, trapped a teenage girl and her mother upstairs. They called the police. The police came, arrested the man. He was released 3 days later due to California legislation. This whole community has lived in fear for a year now because the guy's still awaiting trial. This is not okay. It's time to put victims' rights before the criminal. Now, I also want to talk to you guys about what recently happened to me. Again, I've lived here my whole life. I've never had run-ins with the homeless and mentally ill like I have now. In 2 months, I've had two situations. The first situation, I was with Cole Bricado, who's running for District 38. A homeless man had stabbed somebody and ran off. Cole had a gun because he has his conceal and carry permit, thank God. So the guy ran off, and that was the first incident. About a month ago, I was in Westlake Village with Catherine Strange from The Guardian. This homeless woman ran up, grabbed the American flag out of her hand, threw it on the ground, started stomping on it, going, "You need to burn it now." She picked it up, started trying to stab Catherine. We called the police showed up, they gave her a ticket, the woman walked on her way because the police said she was a known mentally ill woman, and because due to California legislation, they wouldn't be able to prosecute her. This is not okay. Thirdly, I was at Coco's in Simi Valley with my little 3-year-old grandson. This guy walks up to me, looked homeless, definitely mentally ill, looks at me, looks at my grandson, and he said, "Why are you talking about me?" Okay, I'm not talking about you. Well, I was sitting over there, I know you're talking about me. So I took my 3-year-old grandson, put him on the other side of me because I didn't know if this guy was going to go totally ballistic. And I smiled at him and I said, "I'm not talking about you. How are you today?" And he got mad and he marched off, and then the waiter came over and goes, "Yeah, that guy just came in and sat down. He wouldn't talk to any of us." We need to fund mental and health institutions once again. And we can't use the top-heavy government programs. We need to partner with the private sector. One thing, I've been researching this a lot. Jackie Irwin skipped both votes on the homeless. So she can say there's, she actually just put out a tweet the other day and I almost lost it and had to call Joel to tell me not to answer to her. But she put out a tweet saying, "It's Mental Awareness Month." And I'm like, I'm freaking aware. I'm aware. So I've been researching this. There's a community in Austin, Texas called Loaves and Fishes. It's faith-based. What they've done, and I don't care if you use nice army tents or whatever, it's cheaper that way. But they built a community of tiny homes that's kind of out away from the community. In this community, the mentally ill gets medication. They work, they grow their own food, they have counseling, and it gives the homeless back a sense of self-worth and hope. And one thing I want to make really clear, crack pipes and injection sites are not the answer. Now, you know, Eduardo covered it really well, but there's something on the petroleum he did leave out. And ladies, this is really important. Petroleum is in makeup. And I tell you what, I like to paint